Today on What Went Wrong?
Hey, are your movies safe?
Yes, I've never let Alec Baldwin on set. Hi, I'm Brett Mauser, and I've made over 40 feature films and never killed anyone.
Despite our best efforts.
And today we're going to be talking about something that's been in the news for quite a while now. We haven't addressed it, mostly because of time and life. But also, I didn't want to address it right off the bat because I didn't know anything. I didn't really have any lot of information. And I don't want to be that guy that, rushes out there and just starts throwing things out there.
We were just talking about, with aviation, how something happens. Everyone wants to talk about what's going on, not understanding that it could be a year before we really know what's going on. And so in times like this, you don't want to be rushing in where fools may tread.
Yeah, because even as it first happened, the news about the Baldwin incident first hit, I started hearing this happened. Even then, just as from an independent filmmaker standpoint, I was like, something's not sitting right. Something's not. Yeah. But I don't want to go out there and say, right off the bat, hey, this doesn't sit right, because you got to let the information come in. It had just happened.
Well, and I get that all the time. They're still putting out the fire, and people are writing me, what happened? What's going on? Jeff, tell us what's happening. Because that's my world. This is your world. That's my world. And I say the same thing every time. It says, guys, it just happened. Let's let them get the fire put out. This takes time. This is not, we don't just rush to figure out what's going on. Because the point is, what went wrong is there specifically to teach you what did go wrong. So it can be a lesson for the future. So you learn if something is wrong, then you can fix that safety-wise. And so you don't just rush in there and learn the lesson you want to learn, or learn the lesson that's politically expedient, or learn the lesson that you like. You have to wait. You just give it a second. But that also being said, as time goes by, it is still a good opportunity for discussions on things that we know will go wrong and we understand to be a problem with safety. And so it is, even though we cannot say exactly what happened, we can still talk about the things that can and do happen, which is what we're doing today.
Yeah. And even today, new things are coming out.
Right.
And they're still investigating, still trying to find. So I don't want to delve too much on what happened and what we know at this point. What they could have done differently, because we don't know what they did or didn't do.
Right.
Blame is going around everywhere. So I want to talk first off primarily about our gun safety, about our sets, and how other independent filmmakers should be handling them. The one thing that I've always not fully comprehended or fully understood about Hollywood films is their need. They're talking about live ammo on set.
Right.
I don't understand why that needs to be the case.
Yeah, that is something that definitely we've talked, and it has been mentioned several times, that if you are going to be in a movie and you've never shot a gun or never handled a firearm, you should go learn. Not just for your own safety's sake, but for your performance. Because if you don't know how a pistol or rifle or whatever it is you're using reacts when you actuate it, then your performance will not be convincing. So you should go, and if you're going to be, say you're going to be a cop, and you're going to carry, a cop gun or something. And so you can kind of figure out, or you can even contact the director, what am I going to be using? What kind of pistol? And he may tell you a 9mm semi-automatic or whatever. And you can then go to the range and you can rent a firearm, or if you have friends that have them, and you can learn how to use it. And along with that, it is intrinsic in the gun community, or those who own firearms. And one of the things we talk about constantly, ad infinitum, and it never ends, is safety. How to be safe. And so you then, as an actor, not only will learn how to use the firearm in order to further and improve and make your performance more believable, but you will also learn how to be safe. And that behooves you all the way around, to be able to do that. And if you don't, you are setting yourself up for a less than believable or a failing performance. just for the added performance, but also you're missing out on something that could help you in the future. Like, say you end up on Alec Baldwin's set, and understand that there are certain things you just don't do. Okay, mixing actual and blank ammunition. Okay, what the hell? And we may need to talk about what is blank ammunition, what is actual ammunition, why one works, why one doesn't work, and the different situations you'll find them.
We don't need to really get into the science or the fine details of it, but I do want to point out that the materials we use,
right,
you would be able to tell
a
live round from a blank round.
Right.
I'm going to pull out. Now, there are two different types of firearms that we have on here. We have the revolvers, which are mostly in the Old West fashion, but we do have some modern day ones. This one particularly operates pretty well, pretty closely to an actual one, and you load the rounds in the cylinder. And our other rounds other pistols are going to be the semi-automatics, where you have the, let's see if I can remember how to, I haven't used this one before. There we go.
There we go.
Where you have the magazine, and you can load in all your rounds there, and then placing it back in, chamber the round, and it's in there.
Right.
One thing you'll notice on our automatics,
right, is
they're bored up.
Right.
Now, does that make them 100% safe? No, because you've still got a lot of gas escaping up here. Mm-hmm. And if you're firing the gun like this, and this blank pistol goes off, you're probably going to lose a finger.
You might, yeah, it's entirely possible.
At least some severe damage to your finger.
You're not going to be happy.
Yeah. But nothing's going to be. But that's all gas. Mm-hmm. That's all gas, and and nothing is going to get projected out of here. And normally this is orange,
right?
Bright orange, and we've just gone in, and it's a very safe. It's much safer than a lot of the blank pistols that they're using on sets of Hollywood films.
Right.
They're even using actual guns on set.
Well, and the thing is, a blank pistol, and once again, I need to just explain a little bit about a live round and a blank round, and how a live round and a blank round are basically constructed exactly the same way. It's just what you put on it. Because on a blank round, it's green on the inside, or it's not always green, but this one happens to be green. Okay, but on the back, it's also got the little part in the center. That's called the primer, and that's what the firing pin, which the hammer will hit, and it pushes on this, it hits that, and that's what sets off everything. Most bullets, except for like very small caliber 22s, which hit the rim, fire exactly the same way. Okay, so if you were to put a real round, an actual bullet, into a blank firing pistol, it is possible that it would also shoot. Okay, the difference is the one you have has a blocked up barrel, so the bullet will not be able to come out. Now, you will destroy the firearm, you will hurt the actor or whoever's using it. Okay. But you will not have a bullet. And the bullet itself, this is called a round. The bullet itself is a little metal part that comes flying out.
Slug.
The slug, if you will. The lead. When we talk about throwing lead, that's what's actually coming out. They're not really lead, but they are. They're lead. It doesn't matter what they are. But it's the metal part that's flying out. And so with a gun like this is an actual blank pistol.
Well, I'm going to throw another little safety caveat in there. This is an 8 millimeter. Mm-hmm. So if you try to put a 9 millimeter round in here, it's not going to fit.
Yep.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not familiar with an 8 millimeter round that goes in an actual firearm.
Not for many, many years. Years ago, they would use different kinds of stuff, and they were experimenting with stuff. There's an 8.6, I know, but still it's not that. And an 8.6, it was a rifle round, so it would be definitely not able to fit in the pistol. So you're right. An 8 millimeter will not fit into a 9 millimeter magazine, and a 9 millimeter round will not fit into an 8 millimeter. Okay. But anyway, as I was saying, that's an actual blank pistol. A lot of the guns used in Hollywood are actual pistols that they just put blank rounds into. Okay. So the thing is, like the gun that Alec Baldwin was, killing people with that day, you can put a live round in it, and especially with revolvers, and you pull the trigger, it's going to shoot that bullet just the same as it would shoot a blank. Okay. Now, specifically speaking about semi-automatics, they have to have a certain amount of force to make them operate and all that other stuff, so they won't fire again for the most part, probably. But that doesn't matter. It's that one round that goes out. And this being an actual blank pistol as opposed to actual guns that they put blanks into. Now, revolvers are typically the only pistols you can do that with, because an automatic, a semi-automatic, which is the one you have the magazine in, has to cycle the round.
Does it have enough pressure that it's
enough pressure, enough power? And so most pistols, what they call blowback, that's the force of the round going off. For your AR rifles, your automatic, for the Armalite rifles, for automatic rifles, so AK-47s, M16s, M4s, the military style stuff that you'll see, they have to have a different type of blank or rifle in order to operate. Okay, but those are expensive, and you typically, as a independent filmmaker, aren't going to be messing with those. Okay, so we're not really going to talk about those. If people have questions, they can put them in the comments, and I will be glad to talk ad infinitum, at length. I will pull up my chalkboard, and we will go to town. Okay, but for the most part, you're going to be using the actual blank pistols, the revolvers that are blanks, and the reason this can't fire an actual, this particular one that you were just using can't fire an actual round is because of the way the chamber, which is the thing, meets up with where the barrel is. It's not big enough. It wouldn't work. It doesn't have any actual. It doesn't have a path to go out.
And that will lead us into our revolver rounds,
Right.
where again there is no slug at all.
Yeah.
It's a crimped. It's basically a firecracker set off with the primer.
The U.S. military uses the same thing. The rounds, the U.S. Army uses blank rounds for training. We block off the barrel. We have to block off the end of the barrel because we have to have gas, because it's a different system. Once again, I'll talk about it if you want to talk about it. But the military uses these same crimped, and they're purple. And so you can and they're much shorter. You can obviously tell. When you pick it up, it's a blank round. This is obviously a blank round. There's nothing that anybody uses that's this size, that's crimped. It doesn't look like anything else. There's nothing else I could take this. If I put this in a box of my actual ammunition, and I pulled it out as I'm trying to put it on something, I'd be like, the hell. And I would call you up, hey Brett, one of your things got into my. I don't know how that happened, but because there's no way I can't. There's no way I could do this. And even if I were to put it into an auto-loading system, you can. They have these things where you just dump a bunch of rounds, and it will go through. This will spit it out. This will be. It will not feed. It'll either jam it up or it'll get rejected as a defective round, because the things can do that. And so it's obvious. Okay, and anyone who uses firearms or has used firearms or has done like you and I, not just in the movies, but I mean real life, would look at this and go, okay, obviously this is not real. Okay. So there you go. That's that. Their appearance or their manufacture or the way they operate is intrinsically makes them safer because they don't look right, because someone would recognize it, because someone
they don't fit.
They don't fit. Okay, and here's the thing. Here's the big word, the big T word, which we talked about when we were talking with Kiki. Training. Anyone who's had training would know this is not an actual round. Okay, that round, the pistols you use, they are built to provide a safe facsimile of what is actually being used.
In many ways, the plastic airsoft pistols could be more dangerous because you could put an eye out with the little. But again, we use airsoft more than anything.
Yeah.
And we'll put the muzzle flash in the back.
Right.
But I like the blanks because they will eject the shell, give you the puff of smoke. Sometimes the muzzle flash. Now this particular model is top firing, so the muzzle flash will appear above. So anybody who knows guns will realize it. So we have to paint it out and put a fake muzzle flash in the beginning.
These are very good for stage productions. That's where I've seen them more often used. But in a production in which you have, they are very believable, very equitable. And since you have the technology to change it, it's fine. And the stage production, it'll happen so fast, no one's going to be paying attention. Your audience is going to, guy's going to go point it, and it's going to go bang, and there's going to be a flash, and everyone's going to go, you know. And so that is where that is. I've seen that used more often, and that's why it's also very good and safe, because it's completely blocked off. The rounds are the wrong size. You can't get actual rounds in them. They're relatively safe. The trigger is actually pretty hard to pull, so it does take a lot of work. Whereas most pistols don't have to. You don't have to fight it to make it shoot. Whereas this one you kind of do, which is another safety feature. Yeah. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and I do enjoy the blank rounds, or even a replica because of the weight.
Yes.
And then when the charge does go off, you do get a much more realistic reaction from the actor. They feel like they're firing a real weapon. But overall, these are, as opposed to having a real gun on set, incredibly much safer.
Yeah.
And that poses the question why they feel the need to have that kind of firearm on set. Because if you're operating with these, where even a shell like this without the slug, it may look like one, but without the slug, you can still tell it's not a live round.
It looks weird.
Yeah. So if you have a box of these and a one live round in that box, you're going to be able to tell as soon as you pick that up that it's a live round. Second of all, you're not, if there's no need to have a live round. The barrels are bored up. Most real live ammunition will not even fit in these. And if something does happen, it's going to happen to the not to say that it's better one way or the other, but anything that does happen is going to happen to the actor firing the pistol and nothing in front of it. Which, in a ways, if you're not practicing gun safety and you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, or, for lack of a better word, something stupid, then you should be the one feeling the repercussions, not the poor guy who you thought it'd be funny to point the gun at.
Right. I have had weapons misfire, not fire, or have had rounds that were, we call them short rounds. The charge didn't go all the way off, and the bullet either something happened or the bullet didn't go all the way out, that's creepy. Or the round just pootered out as it went flying along. Usually with older ammunition, which is why whenever you're using older ammunition, you have to take extra precautions, and we know that. Which is why newer ammunition is better, or if not newer, at least well-preserved ammunition, which is a different conversation. These blanks are new. They're obviously new. They're shiny. Ammunition as it ages does predictable things, and so you could look at it and you can tell, oh, this one's been in too much water or too much moisture, or this one has something, or this one got dropped, or this one, you can tell, okay, as you learn. But if you, for some reason, put a live round, say somehow with a miracle of hatred that you managed to get a live round on one of these pistols, and it does actually shoot a live round, let's just say, okay, but blocked off like it is, the gun will, as the bullet comes out, it will go forward at whatever velocity it will be going, which is going to be moving. I mean, most bullets come screaming out of there anywhere between 1,000 to 2,500 feet per second. They're moving. They're going over the speed of sound. They're going Mach Jesus. They're hurrying up. It's going to then come in contact with whatever it comes in contact with. In this case, it's got like a shortened little chamber, so it's not going to be able to fit through that, and so it will destroy whatever it runs into. And immediately as it starts encountering things, the bullet will start to slow down, but it will continue to exert its velocity as it goes through whatever it needs to until its velocity is expended. Okay. The problem is the amount of energy that comes out if you've got something blocked off, depending also what it's blocked off with, which it's metal for the most part. The bullet's not going to go. Well, the energy's got to go somewhere. Where is it going to go? Well, it's going to find the weakest part of whatever it is, which is going to be right here. So it's going to be blowing up this way, that way, or down, or whatever else. And so you holding this thing at the end of your hand, okay, it's going to be blowing up out here. It could come back and hit you in the face. It's going to hurt your hand, The concussive force alone is going to hurt your hand. If you get hit with pieces of metal, it's going to probably break things, break your bones, smash your fingers, whatever else. Okay, not smash, but it's going to, because it's not a smashing force, not like a hammer, but it's going to hit with a great deal of velocity and cause a great deal of pain. You're going to bleed. Okay, you're gonna be deaf for a little while. It's definitely going to hurt your hearing. But the thing is, it is preferable to a bullet flying out at over the speed of sound and striking someone else within a very, very short distance. I mean, most of your sets aren't going to be more than 10 feet across, 15 feet, 20 feet across. A stage is only about between 60 and 100 feet across for the most part. And so even if you're on one side and a person on the other side and you shoot a pistol at them, that bullet's going to hit them and it's probably going to kill them, as we've seen. And in this case, from what I understand, Alec Baldwin was sitting in a pew and was doing this little quick draw thing and shot the person right there. Well, good night. You're done. Unless it hits you in a specific extremity, like an arm or whatever else, everything here, to include the lower part or the upper part of your legs, the femoral arteries and stuff, everything there that you hit at that range is going to do an exceptional amount of damage. Okay. Even worse, if the bullet hits a bone and goes up, which is when people don't think about, is when a bullet hits you, it doesn't just go through you. Sometimes it will. Like you heard the through and through, the $1 million wound where you get hit, it goes boom right through like that. Heavier rounds tend to do that. They hit you, they may knock you down, but they go through you. They go through pretty quick. Okay, if they hit bones, they will smash those bones, and that's where you get a lot more injuries. But a lot of times with like the AR rifles, the not getting into calibers, but the M16 rifles, they'll hit and they'll start zigzagging inside your body, which is why they are so horribly deadly. And so the idea that you're going to be practicing with one of these things that's loaded, I don't understand it myself. And I understand practicing with a loaded weapon if you are on a range. If you're practicing, let's say you do quick draw competitions and in this quick draw competition you actually shoot rounds, which I think they have those, okay? But you're on a range. You're facing this way, no one's in front of you, and you're, practicing however they do it. I don't do quick draw. When I go to the range and we're practicing certain things, we're practicing range walks, or we're practicing go from ready to high, ready high, ready low, whatever else, and we may have live ammunition in there, but there's no one in front of us. But to think that you're on a movie set with people everywhere, okay, and you're going to start whipping a gun around, okay, that's just not a good idea, even if it's not loaded, because guns don't hurt people by themselves. It's when people pick them up and start doing dumb with them. That's when they start hurting people. And when you have a set that has live rounds along with not live rounds and no one is bothered to check, that's when people get hurt or killed, and it's just, it's hard to understand from the standpoint of someone we've used weapons. You and I are very familiar. You've got, you own weapons. I own weapons. I've spent most of my life shooting them. You've done an exceptional amount of shooting yourself. And to think that somebody on a movie set, where people who, for lack of a better word, have been willfully ignorant of how weapons work and what they do and how they can hurt and how they can operate, to be just whipping pistols around doing whatever else. You're the movie guy. I mean,
That's why I don't let real guns on the set.
Which is
because
good.
I know actors.
Yeah.
Love them to death, but I also see how they screw around, how they play around. I was shooting a music video for a group up in Milwaukee,
Right.
many years ago, and it wasn't my set, but I was I was shooting it, and somebody brought a gun on set and I protested, but it was earlier in my career, I conceded. It's like, okay, well, give it to me, I'm going to check it. I checked everything. Mm-hmm. And it was the music video's brother, main singer's brother, who was going to hold this gun in the music video.
Okay.
So I went through the whole training, and this kid was so nervous. He's like, I don't know, man. I'm just, and I said, okay, we're just going to do this. We're going to, I'm going to take you through the steps. And I was like, okay, here, now just, hold it, look at it and feel it, and I made sure that it was empty and everything. And he was still, real nervous. And then somebody asked me a question. I said, yeah, what do you need? Blah, 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 blah. 10, 15 seconds, I turn back around, and the guys, the kids, like, waving the gun around like this, and I'm like, oh, hey, yo, whoa, wait, and took it away right away. But you put that gun in the hand, and there's this power that comes over people instantly.
Yeah.
And it turns them into mindless, stupid idiots.
Yeah. There is a power in them. The first time I ever got handed one, luckily I was with my grandfather, who was not about to let me have that power. And of course, in the military, you are given some of the deadliest weapons you've ever seen in your life. But the drill sergeants and the instructors are on top of you like stink on crap, and you're not about to get a chance one, okay? And they absolutely bludgeon you with information and safety and concern, and they will tell you in no uncertain terms, you screw around and we can freaking kill you right here in front of God, Jesus, and the Virgin Mary. And they're not kidding, okay? Whenever you and I come to my house, it's like, hey, Brett, check this out. One of the first things I do is I pull it out, make sure it's empty, check the thing, I hand it to you. What is the first thing you do? You pick it up, you take it, you check, make sure it's empty. You just watched me do it. But what did you do? You immediately went through your training, which is you pick it up and you point it in a direction that's a safe direction, you check it, you look, okay? And then if you were to hand it to somebody else who was standing near us, like Denise or Steve or somebody else, they're going to take it and they watched it happen twice, but it doesn't matter. That's your training. That's what you always do. Okay. Safety, safety, safety. Your actors don't know that. I mean, most actors don't know that unless you've had a guy who's been in the military, and you've had a couple, and you can tell. You can immediately tell when you see them, and we're dealing with this stuff. One of the first things they do is they take it, they point like this, and they, for the things, they'll pop it, and they'll spin the barrel, or they'll spin the chamber around, and they'll look at the thing, and they'll drop the How do you drop the magazine? That's the first thing they'll ask. And drop the magazine, pull it out like this, pull the thing back, and look. And then you put it away. And then it's, okay, we're going to do this thing. And they just did it, but what do? They pick it back up, and they go through this process again. Because it's built into our psyche. It's built into our mentality, is that's how it needs to be done. Actors don't know that. Okay? I understand your actors don't know that. You understand your actors don't know that. You've watched your actors be stupid. Like, he's had the gun for a whole 10 seconds. A little before, he was just pooping his little pants. Oh, no. And then you give it to him, and automatically he gets that power trip because he's an idiot. And so you have actors who just have no idea what they're doing. Okay? So, on a set, if you are going to be shooting, a gun scene or a fight scene or a Western or whatever, how do you as a director or a producer or whatever else ensure that your set is safe with regard to your firearms? What is the best procedure that you would say? I mean, I guess I should say, what have you done to make sure it's safe?
For me, number one, absolutely no real guns on set.
Right.
Just no real guns on set.
Right.
Even if it's just you and me.
Yeah.
I don't want.
And we've talked about that because I usually, whenever I travel, I always carry a firearm or whatever. We've also talked about making a movie where you need a sniper rifle. I have two, but they're real, and you're like, can't use them. And I'm like, and I know why, and I get it. It's a rule you have, and I'm not about to go against your rules because it's your set. Okay. So yeah, go on.
Okay. Next, look at the scene, and does it need to be a blank pistol, or can you use airsofts?
Yeah.
Why do you ask yourself, why do you need it to be a blank, and why do you need that report?
Right.
In Tag, one of the biggest action films we've had, we used the blank pistols.
Yeah.
But we didn't set off a single round.
Right.
In Lady Lawman, we set them off once. And it was the scene with me, Matt Hasso. I've been working with Matt for,
a while.
Over 10 years. And I know his appreciation and, in a way, fear of firearms.
Yeah.
And how he's going to double check. He's going to be incredibly safe because he does not want anything to go wrong.
Right.
He's, he's I hate to use the word afraid of them, but he's got
He
a
has
healthy respect.
He has a
for
healthy
them.
respect for them. Yeah.
So I felt very safe
Right.
with that cast.
Right.
But if you look at like a Tag or the other scenes in Lady Lawman, you've got the digital effects now where you can puff, you can have that puff, you can have that muzzle flash. If I was on a set with people that I know that all know firearms, that are well trained in it, I would probably do more blanks.
Right.
But I step on set, and the first question is, do I need it? Do I need it? I like still having the blank pistols because of the weight.
Right.
And it's just, holding this, the plastic piece versus the real one, it's going to have a feeling to it. It's going to have a more dramatic sensation to it as an actor.
Right.
And of course, when you're having a long, standoff, you're going to be holding that gun there a while,
Yeah.
and it's going to get heavy, and you're going to have that impact, and the actor will treat it a bit different.
We talked about that in one of the What Went Wrongs before, and I mentioned Gravitas is a heavy metal pistol. Is a heavy metal pistol, and the idea is that the actor can better act around something that feels and acts and presents itself like an actual weapon. Okay, it's one thing to have the plastic AK-47 because like I said, it takes a better actor because you get to realize don't be whipping this thing around because an AK-47, as you've held them, they're heavy. They weigh 10 pounds when they're loaded. They're a big heavy beast. The ARs are usually 7.5 pounds. You put all kinds of crap on them like I do. They're closer to 8.5 to 9 pounds. But you get a piece of plastic, it's not going to act like the pistol does. So you then have to do the acting for the pistol. And so that is something you would remind your actors. Remember, this pistol you're holding weighs 1.5 pounds.
Yeah. This
weighs 10 ounces. You could put it in an envelope and mail it for 22 cents or whatever. Yeah. But do remember that this needs to be. You need to present this like a big metal thing, and so most of them are going, "Oh yes, I got it," But even if you give them a real one, it's the way their body moves and the way things happen, little things that people don't actually understand, but they'll be able to pick up.
Yeah. Continuing on, I would basically you keep the rounds. Say either offset if if you know before you get to set that you're not going to use them, why even bring them with you?
Yeah.
More often than not, I will just bring the pistols and leave these at home, and not need it, especially if I'm indoors and I'm doing anything like that, because that leads to the other thing: ear protection.
Oh, goodness gracious! Yeah.
Gotta have them have ear protection, even if you're outside. Even in Lady Lawman, when I was outside and fired that. It's loud, and it's your ears are going to be ringing for a while. You need to use the ear protection.
Absolutely.
Now, sometimes it gets seen. That's why I love these little wax ones.
Right.
So you can tear them apart, and they fit inside the ear, and they're not as visible as the bright green and the bright pink and orange things that you have
big
to
ones
then
that
go
I've used
paint in.
before. Yeah.
That you then have to go in and paint out in production. Sometimes you can get away with not even seeing these,
Right.
when your actors are wearing them.
Right. Especially if they have hats or whatever, you can pull down and you won't be able to see them at all.
Yeah. Check it check the gun as you're handing it to somebody, and even periodically, if the person's been holding the gun for 5 minutes and you're doing something, come over and check it again.
Yeah.
Even though your rounds are at home, because you never know.
Weird things can happen on movie sets. You're right. Weird, bizarre, crazy happens in places like that.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend. If you can do airsoft, do airsoft.
Yeah.
Especially if you yourself do not know firearms.
Right.
If you are not a firearms aficionado, if you don't go to the range and fire, no, leave these at home.
Yeah.
Leave the blank pistols at home. Just go with the airsofts because you're not trained, you're not experienced, and you don't know what you're dealing with.
Right.
Even when it comes to a blank pistol.
Right.
Just leave them at home and use your plastic pistols, your airsofts. If you do have experience in gun training, then this episode isn't going to do much for you because we're telling you things you already know.
Right.
That's when you bring out the blank pistols and you can feel like you have a little bit more experience with it. The inexperienced actors, I will give the ones where they're bored up. You know, if an actor has a little bit more experience, they get the ones that maybe front firing. But that would be my next recommendation is if you're doing these for films, you go to the websites that sell blank pistols. Just always get the top firing ones.
The digital stuff has come far enough along now that you can have plastic pistols, and as long as you make them look believable, you can even go get those weird Nerf guns that are purple and blue and crazy. You know, if you're doing like a futuristic film,
and we did that in Tag Conspiracy.
And we did that in Tag Conspiracy, where you just take them and spray paint the body of the things black or whatever color you want, gray. It doesn't matter. You know, whatever you want them to look like. And they will work fine thanks to the digital element of your post-production. Absolutely.